Hi, welcome back to Therapy Designs. If you're new to this channel, my name is Kelly, and this channel is all about teaching you how to create print-on-demand designs using Canva. So if that is something that you're interested in learning about, please stick around. Okay. So in today's video, I am doing a second iPhone video, and this one's going to go a little bit more in depth because I did have some questions about the first one. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to make both of these two iPhone cases and all the different techniques that I went over to create these. I'm going to show you how to download the mockup from Printful. I'm going to show you, the template from Printful. I'm going to show you how to make your own mockups on Printful. I'm going to show you how I made this mockup on Canva. So really, hopefully going to go over everything so that you could do exactly what you see here on this page if you wanted to. So if this is something that you're interested in learning about, please stick around. So I'm going to start off on Printful showing you guys how you can start by uploading a template for iPhones. I did do an iPhone video in the past, but I did have some people wondering where I got the template from. And although you don't necessarily need the template to design it, because people were asking, I will go ahead and just show you how you can go ahead and get the template to start with, and then we'll jump over to Canva and show you how you can then create some cool phone cases that can sell really nicely. So right now I am on the product catalog on my Printful page. And so from here, you can go ahead and look at all of the different products and you can get templates for all of them. But to go down to phone cases specifically, we'll just go ahead and go down to where it says accessories. That's where you're going to find your phone cases, and I can go ahead and click on that. And then I can scroll down all the way until I get to phone cases here. So I'll click on that. And now I'm on my phone cases. The one that I sell would be this one right here, the clear case for the iPhone. That's the one that I sell the most of. So I can go ahead, click there. So now I am on sort of their page for the iPhone case. And you can see there's all the different models, and every model is going to have a different size. And most importantly for your design features is it's going to have a different size cutout for the lenses. So depending on what phone model you have. So with that in mind, I usually just pick the template for the one that has the largest cutout, and so that would be the iPhone 14 Pro Max is going to have the biggest cutout area for the camera lenses. So as long as I know that I keep my design or any important design features outside of this area, then I know it'll work for all of the other smaller ones as well. So that's how I decide which kind of template to go with, because again, every template is going to be a little bit different, and you wouldn't want to have to change your design for each and every one of these models. It would just take you way too long. So if you're going to design for one model, design for the iPhone 14 Pro Max, and then it will work for all of the other ones, essentially. So I'm going to go ahead, scroll down. As you start to scroll down, you'll get details and stuff about the phone cases, and it'll show you different mock-ups that you could generate, and so that's easy too. Come down to where it says description. I've got shipping and then a file guideline. So I can go ahead and click on file guidelines here. And you can print a file template, and I can download the file template here. And so that's where I go ahead and get that. So if I click download, it is going to download a zip file that has templates for all of those phones. So, every model is now going to be downloaded in a zip file. I, of course, I go up to my downloads up top on my computer, and I can click there, and then I can double click on my zip file to open it. You can't see this right now, but I would just go ahead and find the one that says iPhone 14 Pro Max template. It's a PNG, and I would just go ahead, drag that over into my download section. And then from there, it will be easy for me to then pull up on Canva. So that is how I go ahead and get file templates for everything. And of course, this would work for any other product too. So, this video is specifically about phone cases, but if I was to go back up to products, I could do this with, again, any of the different products I wanted to. So, for example, going back over to home and living, if I wanted the flag, for example, and I wanted to know, what were the dimensions of the flag, and I needed a template for that, I could always do the same thing, scroll down, go to file guidelines, and here it will show you the file template for the flag too. So that's how you can get templates for everything on sorry, Printful. So that's where I got my template, long story short. So now I'm going to go ahead and jump right back over to Canva, and we will be doing another phone case design video. This one is going to be a little bit more in depth, I think, and it's going to, you know, show some you know, better design skills that you could, you know, apply to create, you know, more unique phone cases. So from here, I'm always going to go ahead and go to custom size. So if you don't know how to do this, you can click create a design or custom size. You're just going to want to put your dimensions in here. So now you can write this down if you need to. Now would be a good time. The dimensions that I use is going to be 1600 by 3200 pixels. So 1600 by 3200 pixels, and I'll click create a design. And so from here, this is essentially the design size for my, you know, for my phone. Now I'll pull up the template that we just downloaded so that you guys can see. So if you go over to your left-hand side where it says uploads, you'll click on uploads, click upload files. It'll pull up your downloads, and that's where you're going to go ahead and just download your case. There you go. So once it has downloaded, you can click on it and you can pull it onto your page. And so here you go. That is the template that I was using in the past on my other videos to show you guys. So it fills up the page pretty nicely. Essentially, you'll want bleed. So you'll want your design to go edge to edge. So whether you're doing a pattern or a photo, you want your design to go edge to edge so that you've got full bleed. And essentially, you just want to make sure that this cutout area here, none of your important design elements are in this area. So if you're using a photo of, let's say, an animal, you don't want the animal's face right in this cutout area. But otherwise, patterns, any kind of pattern design would work great at edge to edge, and you wouldn't have to worry about the cutout at all. It's really only a problem, again, if you're using like a photo where you don't want a specific element getting cut out, or if you were just making your own custom style design. If you're designing, then obviously don't design in that area. So I'm going to show you a couple of different cool, unique ways that you can go about designing. I'm going to do one that's more of a pattern style and one that's more of a photo style, just so you guys can see what you can do and just how cool and creative you can get with this. So let's go ahead. Let's start with a photo. And so people do like animals. Those are, when I sell photos, animals are typically the ones that sell the most. People who like specific animals on their case. So let's go ahead. I'm going to do flamingos. Summer's coming up, and so flamingos are a cool animal. So we're going to go up to elements on the left-hand side of the page. I'm going to go ahead and do a search for flamingo. And we're going to go ahead. I'm going to use photos. You can use anything you want, but I do like the photos. Now, when we're picking photos, it has to be something that can easily be cropped. Again, it'd have to be really tall and skinny. You want the main part of the photo to not get cut out here. And so those are all things, you know, that you can think about when you're looking. So you can scroll down. Obviously, flamingos are usually nice and tall and thin, so they'll fit in this case really well. We just have to make sure the head isn't right there. And so lots of fun photos, and you may have to go through a few to see what kind of looks good. So for example, I know I did kind of play with this one here initially, and I was able to kind of pull it out nice and big so that it sort of fit on the case. And if I do that, and I use my transparency here so that I can see through, obviously the face is going to be in the cutout, so that wasn't working good. Now, one thing I could do for this would be just to flip the photo so the bird's facing the other way. To do that, I could go over to where it says flip on top. I can flip horizontally. Now the bird's facing the other direction. I could scooch it over here. Now the bird's head is no longer in the cutout. So something like this, if I got rid of the transparency, would actually work for a phone case. So this is a possibility right here. This photo here you could definitely use. This isn't the one that I wanted to go with, but you can definitely see how you could play with that to make sure that everything, you know, works real nicely. And I can just use the transparency to see through really easily. I'm going to keep looking, see if I find one that I like a little bit better. There is one that I saw the other night as I was preparing for this video that I really liked, and it was actually this one right here. So I really love this one. It's very artistic. I can work really well with this one. It'll fit nicely. It'll be able to crop nicely. So this is the one that I'm going to go with, and you'll see how I'm going to make this. I'm going to make it a really cool case that people I think would really like. So I'm going to start by, positioning my guy where I want him. And so again, I want to make sure that the important aspects aren't getting cut out. So I've got room along the side for his face and his tails. Everything fits in here. Nothing is getting cut out there. So right now I really like the way that this is looking. So I think I'm going to go ahead and keep him. So this is the photo I'm going to work with. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my template now because I don't need it right this second. So I'm just going to pull it off the page. So from here, this by itself would be a really cool phone case, but you have to remember you do have to make some alterations to the photos. You can't use everything as is. So at this point, you would have to do something to this photo to make it a little bit more unique. So first thing I want to do is just play with the saturation and everything like that, because I do want to adjust that. So I can go to edit image here and use some of my photo effects. So right now I'm on the classic editor. I can use the new or the classic. I'm just going to use the adjust right here because I'm going to go ahead and add some saturation and maybe even a tiny bit of contrast in here too, just to make it really look like it's popping. So something like that I really like. So I'm starting here. Now what I want to do is I'm going to add some layers to this, but I'm going to make them really subtle, and I'm going to use some transparency. Now, transparency obviously won't print well on t-shirts, but if you're using transparency over a photo and you're printing it on like a phone case or a mug or something, then it works really well and you can be very creative with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of color here to make it almost look like there's a little sun here. I'm going to add maybe a little bit of color here to make it look a little bit more blue in the water, and then maybe we'll throw some flowers over here. So it's going to be really cool. So let's go ahead and go with a blur. A blur circle is what I did last time. So I've got lots of blur circles. There's photos. I'm going to go ahead and go to graphics here, and I'm going to start with this sort of yellow blur. And I'm going to put this yellow blur up in the corner, something like that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little transparency. So I'm going to go up to the little checker box that says transparency, and I can bring that transparency down as much as I want until I get just enough color. So it depends how much color you want to pop, right? But I can add just a little bit of a nice kind of sun style color right there. And so you can see how I did that. Now I can do the same thing with like the blue here. I'm thinking, oh, this one, I like this color blue here. So again, I'm gonna make this one really big because I want it to kind of cover the whole bottom area, so I get that. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the transparency again. Bring that transparency down. And of course I can play with just how much, but there. What I've done now is just add a little bit of blue to the water. And so you can sort of see the way that looks. Now what I want to do is I'm going to put some plumerias over the top, and I'm going to use some transparency on them. So let's go ahead. You can do this with anything, of course, but plumerias are a nice tropical flower that look really nice. Now I can do this with photos or graphics. It doesn't really matter. So if I was to go to photos, for example, there's lots of really beautiful plumeria photos that you could use, and you could do a background removal if you see any that you really want but you don't want that background. So pick out whatever beautiful plumeria style designs, and of course it doesn't have to be a plumeria, but I do really like those, and I like some of the ones with a little bit of pink and everything else in them. I also like the white ones. That one had a black background. So let's see. Let's go ahead back up here. I think I'm gonna go with, there was a couple that had some pink that I liked. I did like the white ones. I do really like these ones here. So what I can do here, edit image, I can do a quick background removal on it so that I just have the plumeria. And I think this is gonna look really nice. Okay, that looks pretty good. I can always check by hitting either erase or restore. It'll pull it up so I can make sure that I got it really nice. I can't really see here too well. Let me zoom in. Okay. There's a couple little leaves here, but I can go ahead and leave those. I don't mind having those little leaves, or I can just go ahead and cut them out too. So if I wanted to just sort of erase around there and just get rid of this extra petal, I can do that too. Maybe I just get rid of that extra petal there. I'm gonna bring this down so it's nice and sharp in this area. Okay, so that'll do nicely. And so done there. Oops, gotta zoom out. Apply. So here are my cutout plumerias. They look really nice. And once they're all, you know, looking good, I can bring them down kind of over the water area. I'm gonna make them look a little bit bigger. I might, depends how I want to do this. I can leave it like that, or at this point I can go ahead and use some transparency so that it just gives you that sort of little appearance of the plumeria, but it doesn't have to be very dark, and you can make that as subtle as you want, kind of have it crop off the page. And I could add more than one too. I mean, here's another one. This one's already cut out and it is white, and so I could just bring that one down, you know, maybe throw it in the corner here. I could use a really light transparency on that one if I wanted to really pull it down. So something like that, and it would just sort of crop right off the bottom. So there you go. That's how you could go ahead and just be really cool, put different colors in it with the blurs, throw some flowers on top. And so now this really pops, and I think that this would be a really cool phone case that would really pop, and that somebody who was looking for a flamingo phone case would see this one and would be, you know, really enticed to buy this one over some of the other ones. So I'm just gonna go ahead, I'm gonna title this Flamingo phone case, and I'm just gonna go ahead and save this. So I'm saving it, I'm downloading it. It's a PNG, I don't need a transparent background. So I'm just gonna download as is, and it is ready to go on a phone case. And I can even show you, we'll jump right back over to Printful, and I'll show you how I could put it on a phone case and download some Mockups even too. So there is my first one. I also wanted to show you one more because I wanted to show you more of a pattern style. So I'm going to go ahead, add a page, and so now we're going to make another one. We're going to go to pattern style. Now, one of the patterns that I like to do more of is kind of, people like that marbly pattern, and a really good one is alcohol ink. So if you're not familiar with this, alcohol ink, you will see right here, these are the different alcohol inks. And so these are really cool. Now, the other thing is there's all sorts of cool photos of alcohol ink, but there's also some really cool graphics that you can layer on top too. And with that same transparency style design, you could make some really cool, any kind of combination of alcohol style ink that would be, you know, unique that you could use. So I mean, I can go back over to photos and start with any one that I want. I do sort of like some of these colors. There's some purple ones that I like. I think I was playing with a purple one the other night that I really liked. So let me scroll down a little bit. This one right here, I thought this was kind of gorgeous, and it had a little bit of that gold that I liked. So let's go ahead and fill this one all the way up. And so something like that I really liked. So that's the start of it. And then from here, I was gonna go over to graphics. And there's all sorts of ones that I could go ahead and layer on top if I wanted to, including some of these kind of just ones here that have the bottom sides, some little sparkly ones here. So let's say I was to put that over the top. Again, I could just sort of layer these this way. I'm not really a big fan of that one, but here we go. Here's a nice darker one. And so I could take this darker one, I could make it really big if I wanted to, and then just sort of have sort of some of those gold flecks and just a little bit of it kind of overlapping there. So just by doing that, oops, let me go back. I have gone ahead and made that work. By the way, here's a problem that you might run into. If it fills the entire frame, it will set it to the background. So what happened is when I clicked out, it set this graphic to the background, which then got rid of the background that I already had on there, which was my photo. So that's what happens when I click outside and I get this and I'm like, oh no, what happened? Don't worry. Go ahead, hit your back button if that happens to you. And what you need to do is just make sure this doesn't fill the entire background. The easiest way to do that would just be to crop it just short of the edge of the page, and now it doesn't fill the background. Now it will not set to background. And so there you go, that's how you get around that. And so again, you can do as many layers with these as you want. There's some nice gold inlay ones that you could put over the edge. Now again, the cutout for the phone would be up here, but it doesn't mean that you couldn't, you know, get some nice edging gold around the side there. And so that's one way we could make this really cool. And then what we can do is the same style that we did up here, which is sort of the photos, the photos of the flowers. I can do that again here. So I could go up and go ahead and go flowers, and I could go to photos. Oops, not videos, photos. And I could look for some flowers that I think might look good as just sort of a little overlap. And I could do more than one. I could just do one. It could be wide. It could be like that one's really pretty there. I kind of like those. This I did like. So I could do something like this. Oh, and here's a purple one. And I could do them on the edges even too. So I could do one like here and maybe one like here. And so now if you can see, what I'm going to do is the transparency. I can bring that transparency way down, you know, as much or as little as I want, to just sort of get a little bit of an essence. We'll call it an essence of flower. And again, as see-through as I want or as dark as I want, and you can kind of play with that depending on how much you want it to look like a flower. So there's a flower and there's a flower. And so that's really cool. Now you could also sell this and market it as custom. You could put people's names on it. So let's say I wanted to go ahead and make this customized. I could just always still pull up a text box and I could put, you know, I'm just going to put name, right? And we'll just say it's somebody's name could go there. And let's say we were going to do the name in, yeah, maybe this light color, some light color here. Sorry, there we go. Name, and, you know, maybe even angle it, maybe pull it down a little bit, maybe, you know, obviously pick a really cool kind of script font that you can play with, something that looks nice, something like that. So obviously you could play with whichever ones that you want. Sometimes I like ones that have like the big curvy letters to start with. So let's just go script. And I'm going to look for something that has a really big first letter. That one looks kind of cool. Here's another one that's nice and big. I like ones that I've used before would be some of the Amsterdam ones have really big first letters that look really nice. So stuff like that. There's Amsterdam 4, which I usually like a lot. And there's my little curve and name. You know, maybe I don't want Amsterdam 4, but you can see how I could go ahead, you know, put that there and then market this as, you know, could market it as a custom phone case that I could give to somebody or that anybody could make on their own, and I could still, you know, put the gold color or whatever I want. And so you could always do it that way too. So a lot of people will sell custom phone cases. That's one way to go about doing it, is just by adding people's names or text or whatever you want to it and offering it customizable. And so that's another fun way that you can do that. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this. This one's ready to go. I'm gonna call this, let's just go purple. I'll call it purple ink phone case, and I'm going to go ahead and download this one. Now I am on page 2, so I'm just going to want the second page here, and I'll download that, and I'll give it a second, and I'll show you right back over on Printful how I could go ahead and then upload these and make some really cool phone cases pretty easily. But these would be totally unique phone cases nobody else would have, and they just offer a little bit of uniqueness to them. So let's go over. I'm right back over here on my my product catalog page. I'm going to go back over to products for Printful, and I'm going to go back to phone cases. So accessories, I'm going to scroll back down to phone cases. There you go. And actually, you know what, for this one, I'm going to go ahead and do a product template. So I'm going to go over to product templates, and I'm just going to put create product template. I did do this a little bit the other night just to play with, but here's my recently viewed phone case, my product template. So all of these are up right now, all of them, and I can drop a design here. If I click drop design, it's going to pull up downloads. I can upload new file, and I can upload obviously the cases that I just made. Okay, so there's the first one. I'm going to hit apply. Okay, part of it's outside the area. That's normal because, again, we do want some bleed. So it will go edge to edge, and there it is with the cutout. And so that is how it would look on a phone case. And of course, you can look through all of them right now. And so there's the 14 Pro Max. If I was to do it that way, that one's going to have kind of that largest cutout area, but it still looks really nice, really unique. And so that is pretty cool. I'm just going to go ahead, continue from here. This is a product template, so I can name it anything I want. I'm just going to put purple, ink, clear phone case, and I can save that product template. And I'm going to do one more. I already kind of did the same thing for the flamingo case that I made the other day, but let's go ahead and I'll do this one more time just to show you. Here's my case. I'm going to drop my design. I'm going to upload the flamingo one that I just did here. Okay, and I can hit apply. And there you go. So there is my flamingo case. And so it goes edge to edge again. You should get that bleed. And again, I can look at any of the cases here that I want to see how it will look with the cutout. So there is the largest cutout. And you can see even with the largest cutout, the flamingo has not been cut off. And so that looks really cool. And again, that's the largest cutout. If I was to go to maybe one of the smaller ones, like the really old 7/8 case, the cutout was very, very small, and you can see a lot more of the photo that way. But again, it's just going to change, you know, case to case to case is going to have different size cutouts. So there's another cutout. It's smaller. The SE also had a different cutout. Some of them had some vertical cutouts. There's your 12 mini cutout. And so you don't want to have to make a new design for every single case. So you just want one case design that you can put on everything that will work. And they'll all have slightly different dimensions, so they'll all crop a little bit different. Some might be a little narrower, some might be a little wider. Obviously, the cutout's going to be a little different, so you do need a picture that's going to bleed, that's going to be able to go edge to edge. You do need to make sure that you have a little bit of clearance around your main image, and that obviously you've got the most space here that nothing's going to get cut off. But that's really what you have to remember for phone cases. And so I can click continue. I'm just going to go ahead and title this Flamingo Clear Case, save the product template. And so here I've got my product templates here. Now, if I wanted to go ahead and download these mockups to use, all I have to do is click on this the little three buttons here, and I can go to download mockups. And so it's going to generate some mockups for me. So I'm just going to use the basic mockup here. It's going to be the most versatile. And I'm actually just going to use the default mockup because that's going to be the most versatile. Now you can pick any of these already made ones. I'm not too big of a fan of those. I do like to just take the default one, and then I can bring it over to Canva and I can put it on any background that I like. And so if I scroll down, it's going to have the ones, you know, obviously off the case and on the case. I'm going to go ahead and just go with the one on the case. And I don't need all of these. So again, I'm just going to pick one of them. So I can click see all. And I think I'm going to stick with just the 14 Pro Max so that you can see it with the largest cutout. So I'll just get rid of everything except the 14 Pro Max. Good way for you to see all the different cutouts though, and how it's going to look on every single version. But there's just my 14 Pro Max. If I come down here, I can keep it as a PNG, and I can put generate mockup. So it's going to generate that mockup for me. One sec. And then I'm going to have to click it one more time. It's going to say download mockup. So then I can click download mockups. And so now that one is downloaded, and I can repeat the same process then for my other phone case. So let's go ahead and leave. Go back to my product template page. I'm going to do this second phone case. I'm going to download mockups. Once you get quick at this, it is pretty fast. So obviously, once I get it the way I want it, I can, you know, get rid of these pretty fast. I'm going to keep the 14 Pro Max. So again, once you get fast at it, it can go pretty quickly. It doesn't have to take forever. And then download mockup, and it will download it. And then I can jump right back over to my Canva page. And so now if I want to, I can go to my uploads again, and I can upload those downloads that I just made. So now if you want to see what it would actually look like on the case, there it is. Because it's a PNG, it cut it off perfectly. So I could pull that case all the way up, and you can see pretty much exactly what the case would look like right there. So that is what your phone case would look like. And then of course you can now just create your own mock-up by, you know, putting this on any background that you like. And if you wanted to know if I was going to, let's say, go back over to my home Canva page, and I wanted to do my own mock-up, maybe custom size, maybe I'm going to do a 2000 by 2000 mock-up, create a design. So now I've got a square mock-up, 2000 by 2000 pixels. I can do, you know, elements, and I can do a mock-up, a phone and photos, and it will show, you know, different mock-up styles, where you could just kind of put your case on there. That's the front, but I can put it right over where the phone is on the background if I find any backgrounds that I like, that I think look nice. I don't really want it in somebody's hand. So I think I can do better than a lot of these already made ones, but just so you can see, there are a ton of, you know, just sort of those already made ones where you can put your design on there. I'm not really seeing any backgrounds that I super love. So you can always do this yourself too. So, I mean, you want to make your own background. Some of these are just, you stick it on a nice piece of wood. So I could even just go with wood. And there's my different wood grains. And so that's an easy way to go. And so if I find a nice kind of finished wood look that I like, I can always just sort of put the phone on top of that. So let's say here's a nice finished wood. I set that as my background. I come to my uploads. I stick my phone. I put it a little bit diagonal, something like that. If I want to throw a drop shadow on it now, I can go over to edit image, shadows, throw on a nice drop shadow here. I can add a lot of blur if I want to. I can make it, you know, a really small offset or a really big offset, doesn't matter. Really light or really dark in terms of the transparency, so I can make that nice and light. Make sure it's really blurry. There you go. Apply. There we go, make it nice and big here. And then if I wanted to go back up to elements, I could go back to the ones that I just used, some of those flowers like the plumeria here, and I could throw this little plumeria flower sort of just in the corner of my mock-up if I wanted to. So there's a mock-up you could make by yourself, and I could put a pen next to it or earbuds or whatever I wanted to kind of give it, you know, whatever look. That's how you could go ahead from beginning to end. Make your own iPhone cases, make your own thumbnails for them, market them, sell them. You can, again, make custom ones, and so really easy to do with Canva. I hope this went into enough explanation for everybody. I know that some people on the last video were feeling like a couple things got left out, so I really hope that this covered it all really well for you. If you have any questions, drop it in the comment section below. I'll try to answer any questions that I might have left out, or if you have any comments. I hope you guys are doing really well, and I hope to see you guys again next week. That's it for today's video. If you found this useful and would like to see more videos with helpful tips and tricks, be sure to hit like and subscribe and turn on your notifications so you don't miss any of the weekly videos. As always, keep growing and stay creative, and we'll see you next time.